Now that UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has abandoned ship, or rather forced to walk the plank, questions are coming up. Who will take over from him? Several candidates from within the Conservative Party are said to be eager to succeed him. Well, let's get the latest about this now from London with our UK correspondent, Olly Barratt. Olly, good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time here on Today on ENCA. First up, latest developments around this whole issue the day after.
Well, a couple of different strands to that, Dan. The first is, as you say, speculation about who's going to throw their hat in the ring to take over from Boris Johnson and therefore be the next Conservative leader and the next UK Prime Minister. And then the other side of that coin really is continued viewing of Boris Johnson ongoing in Downing Street as Prime Minister, and that is controversial. The opposition Labour Party say he should go immediately, and they're going to try and force a vote of confidence in his government next week to try and move him out of Downing Street and force an election. It's unlikely to succeed, but that is what they're trying. There are some Conservatives as well who are asking Boris Johnson actually to leave earlier than the time at which his replacement is chosen. But for now, he stays there. He's getting on with trying to show that he can govern in the meanwhile, that he has a functional government with cabinet ministers in place, albeit temporarily, in government departments that are working and doing their jobs. But as I say, the leadership race, as you were saying, is really a key focus now. Politics moves very quickly, and so while there is some focus still on Boris Johnson, who remains in Downing Street, a lot of attention is turning to what comes next.
Yeah, the process of what comes next, I understand, is not a straightforward one, or time-wise will not happen anytime soon. Is September still that target month for the change to happen? Because I understand that the Conservative Party have to go through their own process. I've heard about something called the 1922 committee needs to speed up or not.
That's right. The 1922 committee is essentially the backbench committee of Conservative MPs, and it really holds all the rules about parliamentary process for the Conservatives, and they are in charge of how the process works to choose the next leader. Now, they have an election of their own next week to the executive committee of the 1922, and forgive me for going into all this detail, but this is how it's going to work. And once that new executive of the 1922 is chosen on Monday, those MPs will set out the exact rules for this process. Now, we know the broad rules, which is that if Conservative MPs feel they have enough support from other Conservative lawmakers, they can put their hat into the ring, and then Conservative MPs will vote to whittle down those candidates to a final pairing. The 1922 believes they can get that done by July the 21st, when Parliament breaks up for its summer holiday. And then at that point, the final two, that goes out to a vote for the entire Conservative Party membership nationwide. Thousands and thousands of Conservative Party members up and down the country. There will be hustings and debates and votes for all of those members, and the winner would then be chosen early September, is what the 1922 are hoping, when Parliament then returns from its summer break. So you've got that timeline exactly right, but it's a complicated process to get there, and given the number of Conservatives that seem to be preparing a leadership bid, it's also going to be difficult to whittle down to that final two in that 2-week period.
So let's get to the juicy part that we like, we as the media people, the speculation part about who could succeed. Just yesterday, speaking to our colleague Chris Jones, the name Ben Wallace came up, the Defence Secretary currently. But since then, I hear a number of other people are raising their hands and says, I want to be the next leader of the Conservative Party.
There's a lot of that going on, yeah. Chris is quite right that Ben Wallace is considered by many to be a favourite at the moment. That's because he's Defence Secretary, and many Conservatives believe that he has had a very good response as Defence Secretary to the Ukraine crisis. He certainly was warning about the Russian invasion weeks, if not months, before others were taking him seriously, and he was very much proven to be correct, and also has been pushing the idea of getting weapons into the hands of the Ukrainians, and many Conservatives like what he's been doing. Another figure you'll know, Liz Truss, the current UK Foreign Minister, the Foreign Secretary, she is considered very popular with party members. There's Jeremy Hunt, the former Foreign Secretary. He is understood to be considering a bid, and we're told by his allies that there are quite a lot of MPs that like him for the leadership, but he lost last time around to Boris Johnson, so he's a failed previous contender in that regard. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, who resigned this week to try and get rid of Boris Johnson, ultimately successful in that endeavour. He has been for a long time considered a potential Prime Minister, but then ran into some trouble around his family's financial affairs and scrutiny of those, and also some in his party are a bit worried about the way that he's been raising taxes in the UK economy, and so that's a difficult one to work out whether he's going to be successful. Dark horses include Penny Mordaunt, who's currently a Trade Minister, but honestly, Dan, I could go on. There really are a lot more names that I could mention, some that you'll have heard of, some that I promise you won't have done, and that's part of the problem for the Conservatives now, is whittling that list down.
Yeah, no, I'm happy that your name is not among those, Olly Barratt, because you are our very good, excellent correspondent in London. We stay put here doing our work in the media. Thank you very much, Olly, giving us a little bit of an update about the latest. The day after Boris Johnson left, or resigned rather, he's still in Downing Street, in 10 Downing Street, and likely until September. There's a complex process that still has to unfold before he vacates that office.